My name is Laura Atria. I am the city's public art program manager. And today we are going into public art and the artists who create it. Today we have artist Sonata Kazimieratiene. She is the lead artist of the City of Pompano Beach's public art program entitled Mosaic Team. The program began in 2017. Since then, Sonata has worked with 5 apprentices and a myriad of volunteers to create 4 permanent mosaic projects that are installed throughout the city. Sonata and her team are currently starting term 2 of the program, which will consist of a mosaic floor piece installed near the Great Lawn located at the beach. Today, we are going to be talking to Sonata and one of her apprentices, Sandi Lazar, who will be discussing how they are going about creating this new and exciting project. So Sonata, can you give us a little more about your background and what inspires you to get into art, specifically mosaics?
Yes, how I get involved with ceramics and clay. In year 2000, I moved to United States and I get involved into the ceramic mural project in my son's school. And I found it very fascinating working with clay, and creating larger scale projects became more and more appealing to me. And I just had opportunity to become an assistant to the artist who was really busy at the time. So it was my training, and also I believe I was really contributing to the process as well. So we developed this really good relationship, and eventually I started doing projects on myself.
That's awesome. And so you kind of accidentally fell into your passion now, which is pretty neat.
That's true.
So also, I wanted to talk about the Mosaic team that you've been working on and the 4 projects that have been completed so far. One of the projects is the Trail of the Honeybees. It is a 1-mile stretch across Dixie Highway in the Innovation District. Could you give us a little feedback on what it was like to create that project? 35 murals are involved and spread throughout that entire area.
Yes, that was really interesting project in terms that we had a lot of separate, smaller in size tiles and little panels that we created. Mostly we were using a stained glass and also some ceramic portions, and it was combination of different techniques. What I liked about this approach, that we could each apprentice had his own or her own kind of strength, so they were able to use their skills and talents, and we combined them into one work. So it was really good collaboration.
Did you learn any interesting things about the honeybee? What would be your favorite fact that you discovered while working on that project?
Well, besides the fact that everybody knows that bees are kind of extinct at the moment, and it was sad part of it, but we also did a lot of research about honeybees that are that live in South Florida. We learned about rare kinds like blue honeybee that I didn't even know that existed. Also, we learned a lot about plants that are attracting honeybees, and we learned that we could actually plant them. Some of us actually had them in the backyards. So there were a lot of interesting facts, and we shared with each other all that information.
That's awesome. So then another project that was actually installed before the Honeybee project, even though the Honeybee project was first, was Music Leads the Way, which is located at the Pompano Beach Amphitheater. That contains one of my favorite murals, which is the mosaic circle piece with the instruments coming out of it. I find that one so beautiful. That was really neat, I think, too, because you guys were installing such that one very large piece on the sides of the actual theater.
Right. And again, this piece, the circular piece on the side of the building, was an incredible example of collaboration between apprentices who were really good in creating ceramic portions and ceramic parts, and those who were really good with glass mosaic. Because if you look at the design at the instruments that are installed there, they are created from clay, and some of them have mosaic kind of addition to the clay. So it was also like another level of collaboration. It's not just piece surrounded by a mosaic, but it was ceramic piece which included mosaic in it.
That's cool. And then the third project was Community, which is located on the brand new Charlotte Berry Community Center. And what I found really interesting about this too is not only did you take community, which was the theme and the title, you actually incorporated that into creating the piece by having people from Old Town Untapped come and place ceramics on the actual mosaic itself. And then again, there was Wow, which is the fourth and final project for round one. So I'm just curious though, out of all four, which one would you say was probably the most fun to work on?
I would say that community piece was most fun to work on, because as you mentioned, we had chance to collaborate with community members, and there were a lot of discussions during the Untapped events when we had visitors at the open studio, and people had chance to not only see the process, because the piece was so big and we were allowed to use second floor common space to lay it down on the floor and assemble it on the floor. So everybody was able to see it in progress, and it took us several months to install. So,
yes, it did. I believe that piece was ready for about 4 months before the building was ready to install it. So it was awesome of the box to allow us to use a little extra space to keep it there.
Yeah, we're very grateful for that. But also it was really good as a demonstration for the community to see what it really takes to assemble something at that scale. And people were able actually to contribute when they were visiting. They were able to display tiles wherever they felt like it fits, because if you look at the piece, it's all assembled from circles. And basically we were creating colors by mixing different colored circles among itself. So it was like a pointillism technique.
And also the circles represented ripples in water, which show that one person can then create a larger effect in a community. So I really like how you were able to pull that abstract vision into a concrete thought for other people to incorporate, which I thought was really neat. All right, so Sonata, you're currently working on term 2 of the project, which consists of one large mosaic installation that you'll be doing. And I know it's during quarantine and everyone's locked down. How are you going about brainstorming ideas with the apprentices during this time?
Yes, we're working from home, and we are basically using video conference and exchanging pictures of whoever comes up with some ideas for the mock-up.
Awesome. So could you explain exactly what a maquette or mock-up is and how you go about doing that? Because it's my understanding that this is a new experimental process to create these clay mosaics that will be installed. So could you explain that a little bit?
Yes, that's right. Since this is new technique that we're developing, we are using Play-Doh and polymer clay instead of real clay, because real clay is hard to work without being able to fire it first, because it's has different color when it's not fired, and we want to learn working with color before. So we're creating small like versions of actual designs.
And that's what a maquette is. A maquette is a small version of the design that you're actually going to then follow through. Because also in the public art process, in order for you to get approved, you have to show the public art committee what you're creating. And so those maquettes help the committee understand your vision before you actually install it. And I know that you're working with Sandi on this because she has a specialty with this being in her background. Sandi, could you give us a little explanation of this new experimental process?
Sure. I got interested in colored clay recently, and it's really fun because you make a thing called you can make a thing called a cane. I can show you a little example. This is made of polymer clay, and you can make it big or small. So that's what I'm doing, is making different canes at home.
That's awesome. So also, I believe that you guys were going to give a demo of how to work with this Play-Doh and polymer clay. And this will also allow people to purchase the clay themselves and have a little art experiment of their own at home.
Yes, I actually demonstrated how to make this, which is pretty simple. It's just a small starfish. Hi, this afternoon I'm going to demonstrate how to make a starfish out of polymer clay. First I'm going to start with, I make a skinner blend using these two colors. Now this color is really just scraps that I took and mixed together, but it made a pretty good green. So to make a skinner blend, you take the two colors and you pass them through your pasta machine. I start like this, starting on the biggest setting, and I go through it. Then you fold it over itself, and you keep going through the pasta machine until you end up with this. So this is my skinner blend. As you can see, it goes from dark green to white. So now I'm going to take the skinner blend. I'm just going to put it on top. I don't want it so wide, so I'm just putting it on top of each other. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to pass it through the pasta machine again, and I'm going to do it through the pasta machine first on the biggest setting, and then I'm going to go down. I want it kind of thin. What I'm making here is called a bullseye cane. So when I have the thickness that I like, I'm going to go a little bit thinner because I want the gradient to be greater. The more times I pass it through here, and the thinner it gets, the greater the gradient. So now you can see it goes a nice long strip, and I want the white on the outside. So I'm going to start rolling from the green side, and when you roll, make sure you don't capture any air bubbles. Very important to roll it nice and firm so you don't get any air bubbles. Now what I'm making now is to make the arms of my beautiful little starfish. And don't worry about if the edges are ragged. It really doesn't matter. I wanted to say that I started working in the polymer clay for a couple of reasons. One is it's not messy at all, so I'm able to work with it in my living room and it's not making any mess. You also don't need a lot of space. I'm working in a very small space here, and I wanted to be able to take what I learned from the polymer and translate it to my regular clay, because I've been working in colored clay for a couple of months now, and the polymer clay, you can make so many things, and I wanted to practice making those things for with the regular clay. So now what I'm doing is, it's called reducing. I'm going to reduce this till it's this size. So you start off by squeezing and pulling, and squeezing and pulling. Now because it's this kind of cane, you can roll it because it's called a bullseye cane, and it doesn't have a pattern in it. If you have a pattern in your cane, then you don't want to roll it because it will distort the pattern too much. But what I'll do is I'll roll it like this for a while, and then once it gets to be too big for my space here, I'll just cut it in half and then do each piece. So I'll just do this. See how cool that is? How it goes from dark to light. Actually, these colors aren't that spectacular. Here's a much better example where I went from yellow to orange, and I should have possibly used this for a demo. But it's okay, this is what I have, so this is what I'm going to do. And what I thought of, I'm going to do the same thing for the center of my starfish, but I want it to be a little creative and a little different because it's an art piece. It's not, doesn't have to be real, doesn't have to be realistic. So the center is going to be, I already made the center. So basically the center started exactly the same way that this is starting. I made a skinner blend with these two colors, a darker green and a white, and then I rolled it like this, and then I put one in the middle and I surrounded it. So this is going to be the middle of my starfish. After I rolled it to the size that I want, I take a ruler and I measure segments, however many I want. So in these examples here, I did a 4, 3, 2, 1, and it turned out to be that size. In this one, I did 3, 2, 1, and I got these. Then I take it, squish it together a little bit, and then I cover it in black. So you take some black, you cut it to size, and then just roll it in the black. Wrap it in the black. So that's what it. When you give it a border, it really makes it more distinct. So then I did that. Then I squished them to form that, to form the arms, and then I put them. See, these were all, and then I just make one. It was all together. Squish it, and then I make the arms to go around. And after I do that, to fill in the gaps, I only got 4 arms on this one, but I wouldn't make 5, obviously. To fill in the gaps, here I used a translucent, but with this one, if I wanted to, actually, it would be kind of cool if I took this green, which I did here. I took the green, then I wrapped the whole thing one time in green, and after I did that, to fit in the gaps, because you're making a cane so that you can do whatever you want with it. I could use more green, I could use blue, I could use black, I could use, this one I use translucent. And all you do is, you take your color, you make it the width of whatever you're working with, and then you fill it in. And you can fill it in many different ways. You just do that, and go back and forth until the whole area is filled in. So till I got that, this was one thing, and I cut it in half so you could see, because if you look at it like that, it looks ugly. But if you cut it in half, that's what you get. And what you do, once you have it all done and filled in, then you can make your cane as big, as fat, or as thin as you want, depending on what you want to use it for. I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration, and if you have any questions, come visit me at Sandella Pottery soon as Bailey's Contemporary Art opens. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Let's see. So this new project is going to be installed near the Great Lawn at the beach. The design theme is in the process of being approved by the City Commission. So what are both of you most excited about this project?
It's going to be amazing. Well, it's in a very public space. So a lot of people are going to be able to see it, use it, and appreciate it.
And I believe too, what you guys wrote in the theme was the fact that this is going to be kind of similar to the Trail of the Honeybees, that it is going to be it's going to be a walking tour of different marine themes throughout the entire strip of the beach, which I think is super fun too. All right, so thank you both so much for joining us and telling us a little bit more about the project and how to create our own art pieces at home. For more information on the Mosaic Team and other public art projects, please go to the Public Arts website at www.pbpublicart.com.